So RightTool has essentially 5 key features that has to do with reports. One is called the Reports Enhancement Drilldown, and I'm going to go over that one. The other one is the Report Preset button, which is a crowd favorite. The other one is called the Hide SubRows and Hide Subcolumns. And lastly, export a report to CSV, because you get Excel, you get Google Sheets. Well, why don't I get CSV? So we solved that. We added CSV to that. So those are the 5 features you can turn on RightTool to enhance your reporting experience in QuickBooks Online. So let me go ahead and open up my RightTool that's installed in my browser. On the right side of the screen, I'm going to click on Settings, and I have everything turned off at the moment. Everything completely turned off, and I'm going to turn on Reports Enhanced Drilldown, and I'm going to turn on all the other reporting enhancements. And then we have all this presets here. We're going to go back to presets in a second. I'll demo that last, and we'll just go over the rest of them here. So I'm going to go to save and refresh all QBO tabs, go back into my QuickBooks Online, and demo each of these RightTool add-ins to QuickBooks Online. So the first one is SubRows. So let me explain what that is. So if I have my my accounts collapsed or expanded like this, okay, you see how they're expanded or collapsed on demand. SubRows, what it does is it expands it and collapses it for me. Okay. Now, remember, you do have a collapse and expand button already in QuickBooks Online. If I go to expand, all the accounts are blown up. All the sub accounts are being shown. The problem is if I hit collapse, it closes them, but it also closes the ability to open and close each one on demand, which I love. So if I want to come in here, I want to say, you know what? I want to collapse just this one. And I want to scroll down and collapse just this one and collapse just this one. So not pressing the collapse button allows me to manually choose which ones I want to collapse or expand. However, sometimes I want to collapse everything but one. So it'll take me forever to sit there and like go 1, 2, 3, like it just take a long time. So this SubRows, what it does is basically a little macro that like goes in for you and clicks them for you. So when you go to SubRows, it goes in there and collapses everything for you. It's still in expanded mode, but it macroed a collapse. And then I can go in and say, you know what? The only one really I want to expand or blow up is, selling expenses. So now you have a report that's basically exactly what you want. Everything collapsed but one thing. So that's essentially what it is. It's just a macro to collapse and expand sub accounts or SubRows when it's on expanded mode. Because once you hit collapse, no longer you can collapse and expand the accounts themselves. But the cool thing is that the SubRow knows, okay, so what you're trying to do is collapse and expand the account types, right? Because account types don't get collapsed when it's not in collapse mode. So it's a really, really cool feature called SubRows. Next one I want to show you is subcolumns, okay? So let me do by class. I'm going to do by class here. And then maybe I'll take last quarter. I want to make sure I'm not looking at way too much information here. Okay, so some of these classes are actually subclasses. Now, what the problem that QuickBooks has is that it doesn't make it very clear for you, like visually, which one's a class and which one's a subclass. You can't tell here. Now, you could discern it by go, oh, okay, there's parent class. Okay, so there's sort of the start, and then there's a total parent class. So somehow in your mind, you have to know that this is the parent category, 2 subcategories, and then the totalization of the parent category. It's a design flaw, honestly, from my perspective. I hate to like point out the things that QuickBooks does severely wrong. This is an example of something they've done severely wrong. So what we've done with RightTool is you get this little button here that says subcolumns. If I click on that, what happens is it takes and collapses all the subcolumns for you, and it puts them in red. Okay, and so it collapses and expands them. Okay, it puts them in red for you. And see, scroll to the right, so there's no more subcolumns here. Let me do a whole year. Maybe have a little bit more context here to use. Okay, maybe there's more context there. And what I'll do is I'll also get rid of percentage comparison, so it's a little bit easier to read. So there we go. So I'm going to go to subcolumns and see what happens is every time a parent class shows up, it turns to red, and that red is basically to indicate that RightTool did something. And what we did is we basically hid all the subcolumns, and we only kept the total column, and we removed the total in it. And now we're seeing just the collapse classes. This works with classes, it works with products and services, it works with locations, it works with customers and projects, it works all throughout it. The other thing is sometimes we want to get rid of, I'm gonna expand it again. Sometimes we just want to get rid of the parent class. So let me get rid of the non-zeros for a second here, just so we can see a little bit more context. So sometimes you're gonna see a parent class that essentially is just there and is bothering you. Like for example, total class 2 is a total, but I want to get rid of this parent class. So you click here, it says parent columns, it kills it, but it only kills it, sorry, let me rephrase that. Sometimes I want to only see the categories, and I don't want to see the total, because the total itself, like if you export that to Excel, the total doesn't give me a sum. So it's actually the opposite of what we're saying. So when I click on parent columns collapse, it gets rid of just that total. See that? Get rid of that column right there. It just gets rid of that total. So if you have any totals in there that you don't want to see, subtotals, you collapse it that way. That's actually, there's two of them. There's total subclass and there's total parent class. And to the right here, I believe there's also total parent class. So right here. So basically anything that has total in it, the subtotaling, it gets rid of that. So you can either collapse, get rid of all the subs, or show all the subs, but get rid of the subtotalization of those groupings. Okay, so these are the three functional buttons as of the day of this video that allow you to manipulate sub-rows, subclasses, and then lastly, we kind of hit a feature here called export to CSV, because the printing happens on the server side. So when you actually go print these or PDF these or email these, we're only changing the visual aspect of the report. We're not fundamentally changing the report. So printing or emailing is still going to show the full report, right? So this hiding of columns, it's a user side only. So the only solution we have for that is you export that to CSV, and then you have it in Excel already, including all those columns being hidden. Okay, and this is what I meant by getting rid of subcategories. Is the essential problem with subcategories is if you were to take, let me just expand this for a second. But if you were to take a full column like this, okay, you want that total to add up to right here. I think it's this one. You want that total, like right here, the 431, 327. That needs to add to the total here. If you include the subtotals and you were to do something like this, it will never add up because the subtotals are sort of on the way. So that's the purpose of getting rid of those subtotals. Is if you were to do a spreadsheet analysis, you don't need to see those subtotals. So that's the logic behind what we've done there. Okay, so those are that's basically the presentation of the report itself. The other features, and I'm going to focus now on running presets. I'm going to click here on the gear menu, and I'm going to turn off these three just so we can kind of focus your attention away from it and just focus on report preset button right here. So once I have report preset button turned on, down here, it's going to tell me what would you like the report presets to be. So if you remember earlier, Alicia had taught us that if you click on Accountant Tools and you click on Report option, you have the ability to choose, the dynamic date range of the report and the basis that defaults when you run a report, but when you first run a report. What we've done here in RightTool is, look, even if you have that default, we can take it one step further and take you through all the preferences that you normally go back and click on. Like, for example, I almost always have my reports default to accrual, okay, because that's how managerial reporting should be accrual in its nature. But sometimes I want to quickly switch to cash basis, but I don't want to change the default reporting to cash basis. I just want one button that says run my presets, and in that preset, change it to cache basis. That's what this is. So just turn that on, and then basically when I run a preset, just switches it to cache basis. But I can add more things to the preset. So I want to do negative reds on the presets, or I want non-zero columns on the presets, or I want sort descending on the presets, or I want the QBO collapse, not the RightTool collapse, or the QBO collapse in the preset. I also want the preset to do last month, regardless of what I have in this setting. So let's say in this setting I have, let's say this setting I have last month, but then in my RightTool, I actually want to see last fiscal year or something like that. Okay. Then I always want to put on audited call Hector at 1-800 best accountant for more questions. Okay, whatever it is. So I'm just adding a footnote there, and I can expand that and make it as big as I want to. I don't even know what the character limit here is. I think it's like 250 or 500. So you can expand it and go as far as it lets you. And then also I want my P&L to automatically have a previous period with percentage change. Exactly what I told you earlier, what my ideal report is. I built that, I engineered that into the report. And then preset details, credits and debits. This usually is the one that stops the show, make all the accountants clap and high five each other. And basically we made their day for the entire day, which is if you drill down from a P&L to, let's say, a detail report, it will show the debits and credits instead of you having to click and open that stuff for you. So that's what the report preset is. So I'm going to click on save and refresh, so then I can show you. So I'm sitting here in a P&L report, whatever P&L report I had pulled. Let's just go back and pull the P&L report really quick. So I'm looking at my P&L report, which is sort of the default way that QuickBooks gives it to me, which is last month, accrual, whatever the default is. And I press one button right here, run presets, or Control Shift P, believe, or E, Control Shift E, there you go. Or click on the button and it'll run all the presets for me. So, okay, what I really wanted is last year. What I really wanted is previous period. What I really wanted is negative red. What I really wanted is cash. What I really wanted is it's collapse. So all these things plus beautiful note down here that you got to call Hector if you have a question. It all runs in a single click. So the run preset is a macro that puts the report exactly how you want it using those features you see in there. So that's that was the preset button, which is my favorite, I would say. Now the other feature that's worth mentioning, which is actually included on the free version of RightTool, right, so you don't have to have the pro version, is Reports Enhanced Drilldown. This is a really, really cool feature, and what it does is, and I'll go back in here, is when you have Reports Enhanced Drilldown, QuickBooks or RightTool is assuming that you're looking at the P&L and you're sort of analyzing. And when you go click on any of these numbers and you go into a detailed version of that report, this is a temporary analysis. Like I'm going to go look at it and then I want to get out of it and I want to go back to my P&L, and I don't want to sit there and have to like refresh or go back here, refresh or whatever. So let's say I want to analyze that 66,000. I click on that and it automatically opens that report in a new tab. Okay, so that's what the enhanced report drill down is. We'll make the assumption always. And when you're looking at reports, clicking means drilling down. And then the same thing. So I got my core P&L on one tab, then I have my detail on the second tab, and then I can click on any of the transactions. And again, it's also assuming that I'm going to go look at something in that report, and I don't want to lose my original detail report. So now I'm looking at that deposit, and let's say I do change something in that deposit. This is like the game changer here, right? Where I do change something in the deposit. So let's say add $1 here, and then remove $1 there. Okay, and then I'm going to click on save and close. And what happens is when I hit save and close, RightTool knows that that tab shouldn't stay open. It actually kills the tab altogether and sends you, quote unquote, back into that report drill down. And of course, we have Control Tab and Control Shift Tab allows you to navigate through those tabs forwards and backwards. So you can use a lot of your keyboard to navigate and get you quickly to that, right? So Control Tab moves to the next tab, and Control Shift Tab gets you to tab prior. So we're using the logic that those keyboard shortcuts exist, and then now we can use that report drill down. Now, the other neat thing about RightTool, and this is something that we sort of built in sort of magically in it, is if I have reports enhanced drill down off, so let's say I don't want to open a new tab every single time I click on something, but I want the ability to create a new tab when I get there. Now, I want to show you something, and for context, this is really important. I'm going to open up a sample file here, having another browser. Without RightTool, if you're looking at a report and you wanted to drill down into a new tab, it's not possible. If I right-click in here, you get this weird set of options, and none of it really is valuable other than maybe copy. So that's because something programmatically in the reports in QBO doesn't recognize it as a link. So I can't right-click and open a new tab. However, in RightTool, even if the enhanced report drill down is turned off, and this is just natural because RightTool is installed, I can look at any of these, right-click, and open a new tab. Like I said, this is the part where accountants start clapping and high-fiving each other and throwing money in the air and going, shut up and take my money, and then buying the app, right? So you do that, and so you can basically on demand pick and choose what stuff you want to drill down without having to, sacrifice staying on the same tab to be able to do that. Because right now, if I don't right-click and hit new tab and I click on it, it stays in the same tab. Many people want to stay in the same tab. We respect that 100%. But I like the enhanced report drill down, but some people just say, you know what, I want to stay in the same tab, but I love the ability of being able to right-click and open a new tab, the new window. You can even copy the address. So like if you want to quickly just know what is the address to looking at that report, you can copy, like say you're looking at this report, copy the address and text message or Slack or whatever your client to say, go look at this report really quick, and it goes straight into that drill down. And the other thing worth mentioning here is when we turn on the report preset, I'm going to go back and turn on the report preset, and this details credits and debits. That comes into play when you drill down the report and the debits and credits don't show up. So I'm going to show you contextually what that means. So when you're looking at the report, you go, oh, okay, I see exactly what you mean by that. So I'm looking at, let me just X out of that. So I'm looking at my P&L, and I want to click there where it says income parent. That now sends me to a drill down of a detail report. The default state is just to show you the amount, right? You have, to enable debits and credits, you have to do 1 click, 2 clicks, scroll down, 3 clicks, 4 clicks, a lot of clicking, a lot of wasted time. So what we've done is, here it says run presets. You click on run presets or click on Control-Shift-E. It'll get rid of amount and quickly convert it to debit and credit format. So that's RightTool for reports. I mean, I've only talked about what's there for reports, and I could spend here hours and hours talking about this tool that I spent thousands of hours designing and developing. But that's RightTool in a nutshell. And now we're going to move on to the next topic.